Welcome. This is Jay Larson, CEO of the Idaho Technology Council. Thank you for joining us on a windy April 23rd spring day for our weekly podcast, Innovation Matters. The thought of the day is on diversity and diverse thought. Our differences can make a positive difference, which is very important as we look at issues and solving COVID-19 challenges. We have a great lineup today. We're going to discuss industry and education. Computer science is a foundational skill, and we'll have Hadi Partovi, CEO of Code.org, will join us. We also have Rick Folkerson, President of Success in Education, and Gayann DeMordaunt, Representative Gayann DeMordaunt with the Idaho Legislature will be with us. But first, we have Dr. Mark Peters, the Director of the Idaho National Laboratory, joining us to discuss what INL, a $4 billion research facility that is changing the world's energy future, powers missions to Mars, helps with remote learning, and forging new defense in cybersecurity and other wireless technology. Mark, welcome with us today.
Nice to be with you, Jay. I hope all's well. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. It's always great to have you on. INL is such an amazing asset and positive contributor to the economy, the innovation in Idaho. Tell us a little bit about what's happening with the laboratory during this COVID-19 days.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. They're challenging times, that's for sure. We're in a status where we have about 80% of our workforce in telework. So we've got about 3,900 people in telework and about 1,000 people reporting to our facility. So we're operating a small number of our mission critical facilities for research, but the majority of our staff are doing their work from home. And so it's a challenging time. We're following very closely the governor's order, and we'll follow that go forward as we go through this phased restart that he put forward the plan for today. But yeah, but I will say that I'm very, very proud of the lab because we've pivoted a large amount of our workforce to telework, and they're still doing productive research from home, which is terrific. And also the people who are still reporting to facilities, we're doing everything that we can to protect them, social distancing, starting to wear masks, checking temperatures, and all the important things that we're going to need to do go forward.
Mark, is what I've been most impressed with over the last 11 years since I've been able to come out and have several tours, interact with many talented people that are part of your staff. It's amazing the asset that we have with the Idaho National Laboratory. If you can, talk to us about the one thing that I've been really looking at are these small modular nuclear reactors and what's happening in that space right now.
Yeah, so as we know, we do a lot of work in the nuclear energy space, also in the broader clean energy and national security realms. But in the nuclear space, the promise of small modular systems and very small systems, quite frankly, that I would call micro reactors, that there's great promise for that for implementation in the United States and worldwide. So we're working with a variety of different industry partners on advanced systems that are small and modular. The one has gotten a lot of attention is the collaboration with NuScale, a company out of Corvallis, Oregon, and they're working with a utility consortium here in the Mountain West, Utah Associated Municipal Power Systems, UAMPS we call it, to build their first of a kind small modular reactor on our site by the mid-2020s. And so that's continuing to progress. And that would be really an evolution on the existing light water reactor technology, but we're also looking at advanced systems in partnership with industry. So we could be demonstrating several reactors on our site in partnership with industry between now and the mid-20s. Very exciting. And this would be for commercial applications in the civil commercial sector, but also in the very small systems, the micro reactors. So think, when we talk small modular, the modules are about 60 megawatts each. But if you go very small to say 2 to 10 megawatts, 2 to 20 megawatts, those are very small. They could be commercially applied, but also there's been a lot of interest from the Department of Defense with those systems. And so one of the other partners in all this is the DoD and also NASA. When NASA thinks about We do a lot of work with space batteries for powering satellite, powering things like the Mars Observer that will be launched in the summer. But also they're now thinking about microreactors, for example, for establishing a base on the moon if we decide to go to Mars, for example. So there's all kinds of interesting innovation going on across the federal government in these small systems.
And what's amazing is the INL is at the forefront of all of this development, the technologies, the Pluto mission, everything. I've been so impressed with the things that INL does and the technology it brings. I was the one thing. This is always interesting. The R&D piece of spent nuclear energy that has changed just recently in the state of Idaho, hasn't it?
Yeah, you're referring to the agreement between the state of Idaho and the Department of Energy that's been in place since 1995. It's called the Settlement Agreement, and its focus is to ensure that there's prompt cleanup of the legacy waste here in Idaho from previous activities, but also importantly, it's important to the future mission in the laboratory. So there's been recent agreements between the state and DOE that will allow us to start bringing in, hopefully within the next several months, small quantities of spent nuclear fuel for research, which is very important for our future mission.
Oh, that's fantastic. We're so glad from the Idaho Technology Council's standpoint. That's a great great move for the state of Idaho. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thanks. And I should just real quick, Jay, just thank the governor and the attorney general for their leadership here in the state on that, and then also importantly the Department of Energy and our congressional delegation. All were involved. It was really a great effort to show that we can come together and do something important for the lab and the nation.
Isn't that the unique part about Idaho, is how we can have the coalescing forces from our political leaders on a federal level, state level, come together to work effectively to benefit Idaho's economy and R&D missions? That's fantastic.
Yeah. The delegation, as you know, in your world, the congressional delegation, along with leadership that we have at the state level, and also like even at the local level with the mayors on this side of the state, for example, and their support of what we do, they're aligned. And I'm a very, very fortunate lab director. It does not take, they care about INL, and there's consensus about it. So I'm very, very fortunate from that perspective.
Well, just as a side note on that, Mark, we're very fortunate to have you as the INL lab director. So thank you for all you do there. Let me ask you a quick question here. This is kind of the fun thing that takes place for us is that we're seeing so many amazing pivots from companies because of COVID-19. And generally you're seeing people or companies having to pivot to new space or new direction. What's some of the new direction that's taken place through the lab over these last month to month and a half?
We're finding some areas, if you're referring to like research directions, I could also talk about operations. Maybe I'll talk about both. One of the things that's been interesting for us is we do a lot of advanced manufacturing, think 3D printing. A lot of the national laboratories do. And so we've been able to bring some of that capability, not to produce materials like parts for ventilators or face shields or masks at scale, but we can then work with industry to using some of our technology to help industry in the area, perhaps go to scale with making some of that important PPE that we're hearing all about. Also, we're working locally and with another partner lab, Argonne National Laboratory in Chicago, to provide some modeling capability, predictive modeling capability for spread of disease and whatnot. So, but I would say overall, the labs across the nation are also doing a lot of work, not us as much, but other labs are working on vaccine development and other important things. So the national labs as a system are stepping up in a major way. I think that gets at your question.
It does. Thanks. That's it's interesting because I know a lot of the work that you do is more long-term, right? You're going to be doing a lot of energy. But I look at this, I've looked at some amazing work you're doing with respect to obviously the nuclear, a lot of the homeland security issues, the wireless. If you were going to say maybe what would be the 2-3 years from now, what do you think is going to be the bedrock of the work that's being done at the INL, with the exception of nuclear energy, because we know that that's one of the major missions of INL. What else do you think is going to be some of the research taking place at INL?
Yeah. I have to call out national and homeland security, and you can't talk about us these days without talking about cybersecurity. And so that's cybersecurity of operational technologies, meaning how do you protect the grid and other critical infrastructure from cyber threat. That's a growing area, a huge area, and also a huge area for collaboration with the state's research universities as well. And the states supported us quite a bit in that in terms of new facilities and whatnot. I also should call out materials. We're doing a lot of amazing work supporting defense missions in terms of developing advanced materials. That's another national security program. But also thinking about the future energy system. You hear us talk about integrated energy systems. So think about the technologies that have to come to bear, everything from the grid to nuclear, of course, but also to battery storage, use of biomass into the future energy system, say of 2050. And so, all the things that go into that, the modeling that's necessary, but also the technology development that will create that future clean energy system. That's a big play for us go forward.
Mark, I've been amazed with the tours I've been able to take, several of them. And every time I go over to INL, I'm amazed at the capacity, the intellectual capacity that's generated there, and all the things you're talking about. I mean, cyber, nuclear energy, wireless technologies. And I know that one of the biggest opportunities, we have to have these type of things in our country to be able to keep us at the forefront of innovation and technology. Can you just really briefly just make sure that anybody on the call just totally understands the mission of the INL?
Yeah, so we are an applied science and technology lab, but we're focused on research and development to develop future clean energy options and also protecting the nation. So there's a lot of benchtop research that goes on, a lot of modeling and analysis that goes on, but also importantly, because we operate the 890 square miles that is west of us here in Idaho Falls, I like to say we were able to take things from the benchtop to scale. So we can demonstrate things. We operate our own grid, for example, so we can test that and also test it against a cyber threat. So we have a really actually unique differentiating capability because of the ability that comes with having that site that we operate as well. But the people, I talk a lot about facilities and capabilities, but you don't do it without really, really smart people. And we've got a lot of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am totally amazed at the talent we have. And we appreciate all that you've done. Since you've come as a lab director, you've been fantastic to work with and very engaging. And we really appreciate you and your team and all that you do for the state of Idaho. I'm going to do something right now because I have a chance while I have you here. We have Hadi Partovi, who is the CEO of Code.org, which is fundamentally one of the greatest nonprofits to be able to put computer science in our K through 12 system. I just want to make sure I introduce you, the lab director of the Idaho National Laboratory, to Hadi Partovi. Hadi, are you there?
I am. Hi there. Hi, Jay.
This is
nice
Mark.
To see you.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Mark.
Yeah.
Likewise.
And I've got to tell you, I've had the opportunity to interact with both of you, and these interactions that we're having here and what you both are doing are making a difference for our state in Idaho and also our country. So thank you both. So Mark, we'll let you go right now, but thank you so much for joining us on Innovation Matters.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Take care of yourself. Okay, be well.
All right, you too. Thank you for all you're doing.
Bye.
Thanks. Hadi, thanks for joining us.
Of course, good to see you.
Yeah, we just had Mark Peters, who is the Idaho National Laboratory director and just does great things for the state of Idaho. And the Idaho National Laboratory is a gem because of all of the intellectual property that's generated there. But we're talking about intellectual property. Let's talk about Code.org. You guys, tell us a little bit about what you do, Hadi. We've had you in the state of Idaho, I think probably about 5 or 6 times. You've been so generous with your time coming to Idaho. Tell everybody what Code.org does.
Sure. Code.org is a nonprofit, and our mission is to make sure every school teaches computer science, that every student has the opportunity to learn it, and that the opportunity to learn this foundational field isn't limited by race or gender or geography, and really to educate the next generation in not just learning how to use technology, but how to create it and understand it. And the reason this is important, most people's mindset when they think about studying computer science or coding, they think, oh, it's because there's so many jobs in tech. And that's definitely true that there's lots of high-paying jobs in tech fields in every single city and state, and really in every country. But the real reason to teach computer science is because it makes school better as a whole. In fact, studies now show that students who study computer science do better at all the other subjects, and they actually are more likely to go to college, much more likely to go to college than students who don't. And they end up getting better salaries after college as well. So whether you want to go into tech or not, it's a good thing to learn computer science. Nice hat.
What do you think, Hadi?
And we make cool hats.
We've got ourselves, you got cool hats, cool logos. This is just awesome. I remember you coming off the plane. We picked you up 5 years ago and you came and spoke at Develop Idaho. I have a few pictures on that in a second, but and you gave me this hat and I'm going, I've had it ever since. It's a prized hat of mine, Hadi. So
that's awesome.
So let me ask you this. This is kind of one of the most crazy things. So we go with the assumption that Idaho and the United States needs to accelerate in computer science to be able to compete globally, right? That's like one of the foundational pieces of this.
Yeah.
We now have you come on. You've been one of the top people when you were at Harvard. You met Zuckerberg. I think you were the fifth person within Facebook. You've been part of this whole fabric of this whole development of technology and innovation in our country. And now you see this. How are we doing, I mean, on a scorecard, or what do you think how we're doing to be able to continue to grow computer science, and what can we do more importantly in Idaho specifically on that last mile delivery of computer science?
Sure, we're not doing as poorly as you'd think, because America doesn't feel proud of its schools very much. We often worry about how our scores are doing compared to other countries. But when it comes to computer science, America's a leader relative to most countries. There's a few countries that teach computer science to every student throughout grade levels, but not the largest countries. So, Estonia or Vietnam are ahead of us in teaching computer science. But this is a relatively nascent field, and not a lot of people had thought about making it a sort of a fixture within education like math or science or biology or chemistry. The idea of teaching coding and computer science as part of the K-12 system is relatively new. And America, as the country that invented computer, we invented the internet, we invented social networking, we invented e-commerce, we invented the smartphone. All these things have come from America, and the idea of teaching computer science in schools is an area where America is actually a leader, and that's great. But we're still at the point where less than half of US schools offer computer science. It also turns out that if you are in a wealthy neighborhood, you're twice as likely for your students, your children, to have access to computer science classes in their public schools than if you're in a less wealthy neighborhood. And that's really depressing, because lower, when you survey them, are more interested in learning computer science. It's just not available in their school. People know that this is the future and they want to learn it. 90% of parents want their kids to have the opportunity to learn it in their school, and schools don't teach this. The difficulty is, it's not that the schools don't have computers or internet. Schools actually do have computers or internet when they're open. The challenge is that they don't have a teacher who knows to teach computer science. And the work that Code.org has been doing the most of is retraining existing teachers. We've trained about 100,000 America's teachers how to begin teaching computer science in the existing schools they have. And at this point, almost 40% of US schools are teaching computer science using Code.org's curriculum. And we've been
very fortunate. We've been very fortunate on the Code.org curriculum. You have really spent some good time in Idaho to help us deploy that in our K-5 system, our middle school and high schools, and we really appreciate all the work there. This is kind of fun because you've made visits here, and I believe one of the biggest things that I think you're talking about is that we have 3,000 math teachers throughout our middle school and high school in the state of Idaho. Only about 40 of them are trained to be able to teach computer science, or certified to be able to teach computer science, which is really a deficiency. And then it just doesn't take math teachers. We need to have a lot more. So this is a big initiative of ours. This year, we have two things. We've accomplished several things that you have on a line item that you say, these are the items we need to do. One of the two things we have left that are requiring computer science towards high school graduation, which is we're working on right now. And then we need to be able to train teachers that are certified to be able to teach computer science. So that's another big one for us. What else should we focus on, Hadi? What are some of your suggestions that you'd have us look at?
Well, first I'd say I don't want to take even half the credit for what's going on. I feel like my job has been, code.org has been to inspire and enable and support what happens locally. Different states have taken this different directions, but the force of change in education has come at the local level from educators, advocates, folks like your Idaho Technology for the Idaho Digital Learning Academy, who have been the feet on the ground doing the teacher training in partnership with code.org. And Idaho has been among the states that's leading the country in terms of computer science, whether in terms of policy change or in terms of actual implementation. So there's a handful of states, often the smaller ones, because smaller states can move more nimbly, that have been basically leading the charge on this, and Idaho is for sure in that group.
Thanks, Hadi.
In terms of what more you could do, I think when you mentioned math teachers, research just came out about 8 weeks ago that shows that if you had to look at what previous skill is most helpful for learning computer science and computer programming, most people assume it's math. Mm-hmm. It turns out language skills are 8 times more relevant and more predictive of your ability to become good at computer science and computer programming than math skills. And that's a huge surprise, and it breaks stereotypes, because the stereotype people have is that, oh, coding and computer science is for the math geniuses. And it turns out if you're an English teacher, if you're amazing at literature, if you speak many foreign languages, if you're bilingual, like lots in our population might be, those skills are actually more predictive of your ability to become good at computer science. And I think we need to use research like that to break stereotypes of who this is for, whether for the students to grow the diversity or for the teachers to basically bring a larger teaching corps of educators who can participate in this field.
Oh, that's great. That's great information. I'm going to look into that more, because I think that's one of our big things is we have to have a lot more teachers that are trained to do it. We have a initiative here called Idaho Codes right now, where we're taking 120 hours through success in education, and we just turned it up yesterday with a big announcement, and we have over 1,000 students that have already signed up for it, Hadi. And I think it's a lot because of I'm going to show you this. Can I?
Sure.
I'm going to show you something here. This is going to be something where if I might be getting the wrong one. I'm sorry if I am. I'm going to have to get to this one. So this is.
That looks like me.
This is it right here. What I want to show, though, is right here. This is the one I want to show you, Hadi. Do you remember this slide right here? Oh my goodness. I'm going the wrong way here, so I'm going to keep going. Can you see this one right here, Hadi?
Yes, I remember that for sure.
And what I was going to say on this one is that this is the one where you came and you were a rock star here. I don't know if you remember, you came in and this thing was packed at our, this is at the Boise State Stickle Sky Suites. And we just had people just waiting to hear what you had to say about computer science. And then I want to share this part with you. This is our Vaughn Hansen, who's our chair at the time. This is, we had a meeting with you on this, and you were just phenomenal on helping inspire us. And then you met a couple of years later with Lieutenant Governor Brad Little, who's now the governor, and you gave him this code.org hat, which he used last year at our Hour of Code. And you took obviously a selfie with him.
Yep, I remember all of these very well.
And then this is one we're going to have after you're done here in a few minutes. Our next guest is going to be Gayann DeMordaunt, Representative DeMordaunt, and you were at the National Summit on Education with her about a year ago, or less than a year. So this is thanks for all your engagement that you have here. I just wanted to share those with you and just let people know that how much we appreciate your engagement and your ability to help move the ball up the field, so to speak, for computer science and coding in Idaho. So thank you.
Yeah, a huge part of what's made it possible is how many people in Idaho, first of all, are in Boise near each other and want to work together to make good things happen. You know, I still remember very well the first trip I took where you literally walked me from office to office to visit, you know, members of the legislature, members from the university, members from the teacher unions. And two things struck me. One is that these folks their offices are in walking distance of each other.
Yeah.
Rather than going from one city to another, and just the attitude of let's get something done, which is not common in every state. We've been doing this work in lots and lots of states, and that closeness and that attitude was very unique, and is why Idaho has been able to move so quickly.
Do you remember when we actually had you down and we spoke at our Hall of Fame event, which is a big thing where we always acknowledge some of the most extraordinary things taking place with technology innovation, and you came to me and you said, hey, do you think we can get the governor to support this? And I said, I don't know. Let's go ask him. So remember what happened?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Tell us what happened.
Of course, it was almost instantaneous. It's like, yeah, we'll do it. We just asked a quick question. He's like, yep, I'm in.
And ever since, the governor's been involved in Hour of Code because you invited him to do it at that time. And so Governor Otter did that, and then Governor Little. So, and that's because of your just asking the question. So thanks for doing that. Okay, so really quick, you've got Codebreak. Tell us about that.
So Codebreak is an idea that's now 4.5 weeks old. And you know, the way code.org has worked for the first 7 years has been providing resources for schools to teach computer science. But when schools started closing for this, because of the pandemic, we started worrying, what are the students going to do? Many schools don't have distance learning programs. They don't know exactly how to teach, through a Zoom conference, and the teacher might not be ready, the students might not be ready. So we decided we would start our own live active classroom where students anywhere, not just the United States, but throughout the world, can decide to participate. So it's a 1 hour a week computer science class that I'm personally hosting, and we invite special guests on the show. I actually want to screen share to show you the map of where people are participating in Codebreak. If I can.
Let's share that. Have we shared the screen with you? David, do you want to do that for us, or have I got it?
I think I could do it.
Okay.
Give me a second. Can you see my screen?
Oh, nice. Yes, absolutely.
So this is the US map, but if I zoom out, this shows where students dialed in all around the world for this live interactive classroom. This was dialing in live as far as Japan or Hawaii. So these were students that were calling in at 2 a.m. their time or at 7 a.m. their time for a live interactive classroom on computer science. And that's partly because of the community of all being in it together, but also because we have really fun special guests. So it's a 1 hour computer science class. Yesterday's class, our special guest was Bill Gates. Next week, Vint Cerf, the inventor of the internet, is going to explain how the internet works. 2 weeks ago, we had Mark Cuban to basically run a sort of very small Shark Tank with students, where instead of pitching businesses, the students were pitching apps. And then instead of Mark choosing which one was his favorite, we had the entire live audience pick one app idea, and then we live coded it, and within the hour finished the app and then sent it out to the entire audience to basically have on their phones. The whole ability to bring an audience of tens of thousands of students from around the world to learn together is not just about coding and computer science. It's helping provide community and inspiration and just a sense of, we're all in this together and we all are going to make the best of this time. Students at this point need sort of a push to not just sit in front of TV or in front of a video game all day. And that's part of the goal of Codebreak. So whether you're an adult or a parent, I'd encourage people to check out Codebreak. It's 1 hour a week, and it's really great education, whether for all age groups to learn about computer science.
Wow. Hadi, that is just absolutely, I got that email about Codebreak from you, and I looked into it, and I'm going, this is phenomenal. And I got to tell you, just one last question for you, if that's okay. What inspired you to be able to start code.org?
So code.org initially started as just making a video. I wanted to make a video about the importance of computer science to inspire people that why aren't we teaching this in schools? Why aren't we learning it more? It's easier than you think. It's more fun than you think. It leads to the best careers, and it just belongs in education. That wasn't a plan to start code.org. That was a plan to make a video. The real inspiration to create code.org was the reaction to that video. And it wasn't just that 15 million people watched the video, it's that 20,000 teachers reached out saying, please help us bring this to our school. And at the time I had just disbanded the volunteer team that had made this video and website. And it was just me. And I was basically like running a victory lap, like the video is done, my work is finished. And suddenly I had 20,000 teachers who said, we want this. And there wasn't any this to give them. So the inspiration since that day and for the next 7 years has been to basically provide the best resources and supports for these passionate teachers that themselves want to change education. And I regularly think of the work of code.org as a teacher-led movement, and we're just here to support and cheerlead the teachers who are doing the most important work.
You're so right. It's a grassroots effort, right? And I've got to tell you that you've been to Idaho, I think about 5 times, and we have been tremendously honored to have you every time. And honestly, the biggest part about this is that you're a visionary and you're a leader in this. And like when you came and spoke at code.org, to develop Idaho, people were packed in there because they wanted to come listen to what you had to say. And I know it all started on that video you were talking about with Chris Bosch and all these other type of things, or you're talking about, I think the Black Eyed Peas. I can't remember the gentleman's name who talked about. Yeah, he said it was great because he goes, you become a superstar, you become, some superhero because you know how to code. And it was just so exciting. So thanks for the energy and the passion you bring to this. And we really appreciate what you've done for Idaho and for the United States and the world. So appreciate it. So.
Thank you so much.
Now I got to do this really quick. You remember at Gayann, DeMordaunt, this was that at the last picture that I had. We had Gayann DeMordaunt, who's a representative of DeMordaunt. She had a picture with you, and you remember that picture she took?
Yes, of course.
She's joining the call right now with Rick Folkerson. Yeah, and she's unfortunately not able to join except by call-in. And we have Rick Folkerson, the president of Success in Education, on next. So I know that these are people that you probably know and wanted to just transition to that. So Rick and Gayann, say hi to Hadi.
Hadi, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hadi, hello.
Nice to meet you again,
So
Gayann.
great to have you with us in Idaho.
Thank you. It's great to see you again or hear from you again.
Yeah. So thanks, Hadi. We'll have you on again, and we'll invite you out to Idaho again and continue some celebrations, because I think there's some things we want to roll out with you and have you back in Idaho to celebrate. So thanks for all you do.
Hey,
thanks,
Jay.
Hadi.
Can I just ask Hadi one quick question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, Hadi, we've launched Idaho Codes to thousands of high school students. If we get 3,000 high school students to participate this year, would you come back and be a keynote speaker to all those students?
Sure, absolutely.
Great.
As long as travel works again, but yeah.
Well, as you can see, we don't even need to get you out of your house.
Yes. Well, and that's for sure.
Well, Hadi, you've been really good about making time to come here and all the things you've done. So I got to tell you, we honestly are indebted to you. So thanks for all the work that you're doing, and we'll have you here soon. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye, Hadi. All right, Rick, nice to have you here. And we've got Rick Folkerson, who is the president of the Success in Education Foundation, and Representative Gayann DeMordaunt on the call with us. And we're going to focus for the next 10, 15 minutes on Idaho Codes and what's happening right now. We had a major launch yesterday with Governor Little to talk about Idaho Codes. Rick, do you want to tell us a little bit about what Idaho Codes is?
Well, so through the Success in Education Foundation and the Keys to Success, or the Code to Success program, we've launched Idaho Codes in the state of Idaho, which allows high school students to learn the basic fundamentals of coding and programming. There's 3 different languages: HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And through their efforts, they will be able to build simple websites and apps. They will have a real kind of strong fundamental understanding of coding and programming, which will help them in a lifetime of technology. help them with job interviews. It'll help them next steps if they want to follow a pathway of coding and programming. But it's, the way to look at coding and programming is it's a language. It's like learning a different language. And when you learn that language and you're proficient at it, it gives you more opportunities to open doors to other pathways. And what's really exciting is with Governor Little announcing it yesterday, and with the tremendous support and help of you and Gayann and Angela from STEM, we were able to kick this thing off yesterday. We now have 1,050 students that have registered in literally 24 hours.
That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, that's that. And Rick, have you seen where they're coming from? What parts of the state? Are they just from, like, Middleton School District was one of the ones that was.
It is all over. It's all school districts are represented. There's not one school district that doesn't have at least one or two students that have registered. So this is a statewide approach. And what's fascinating and fantastic is if you can get rural students to become proficient at coding and programming, they can stay in their rural areas. They can get back to their communities, their higher paying jobs. They can serve on community councils. They're better educated. They can help support their local economies. And that's a huge, huge thing for some of our rural areas that are struggling to maintain or build high paying jobs or better paying jobs. this is fantastic. Gayann, I know you've been very foundational on this because of your work from, first of all, being a mother that is really engaging in making sure that your children have the right education, but more importantly, as a representative for the state of Idaho in the House of Representatives, you are take a leadership role in trying to get computer science and computing technologies in the hands of our students. Talk to us about what your thoughts are about Idaho codes.
Thanks, Jay. You know, it's been such an interesting journey. You know, when I was elected 4 years ago, one of the very first bills that I passed, and again, it was with the help and support of ITC, but that was to require at least each high school in the state to offer. Now, the kids weren't required to take. We're not there yet, but we sure hope to get there. But it was to at least have every school in the state offer, every high school to offer some kind of computer science course. I was really shocked when I went to my own local high school and found that there was just one class that my son could sign up for, one teacher teaching it 1 hour a day. And the class, as you can imagine, was full, and it was a year-long wait before my son could get into that class. So, you know, it was interesting. I wouldn't have ever imagined that that would be the first thing that I would tackle down at the State House. But in fact, it was. And it really just ignited a passion for me in terms of the importance of getting computer science in every school and available to every student in Idaho. And I'll tell you, you know, when I met Rick and our friends, the Garves, and spent some time last summer finding out about the exciting things that they are doing in their foundation, Success for Education, and specifically their initiative in Code to Success, which now we are having our own Idaho codes, which is just so exciting. But when I initially heard about this exciting thing that they were doing across our southern border in Utah, I immediately thought, and Rick saw this, you know, the spark happened where both, you know, Bob, Garv, and Rick and Kathy all said, we can do this in Idaho. And to be here, just 10 months later, able to launch Idaho Codes with the governor, with ITC, with the STEM Action Center, and the support of some folks that are on the phone today is just amazing and so exciting. And then to have students just enroll 1,000 students in 24 hours is truly just fantastic. So thank you to Rick. Thank you to Jay. Jay was the very first person I reached out to in Idaho. So it's an exciting day for us.
Gayann, we really appreciate the leadership that you've shown in the legislature. Obviously, your husband Reed, having a technology company, has been amazing, and the DeMordaunt family has done amazing things for the state of Idaho with respect to education. Thank you. Now let's talk about Rick Folkerson and the Success in Education Foundation. How fundamental have they been to making this all happen with Idaho Codes?
Well, again, our mission statement is that we want to change the world one student at a time. That's our focus, is that the individual student needs the opportunities, and we believe that private enterprise and public education need to come together. And that's a vision of Gayann, that's a vision of you, Jay, and with Idaho Technology Council and what you're doing there. And it's actually come to fruition in just short order. We found a private donor that stepped up and paid half of the fee structure for those students. Jay came through and found other donors, and then with the STEM Action Center providing another pathway, collectively we've been able to fund the students so far that are registered. And so we want to continue on that, and we're working hard to find additional funding, and we'll do that. And so the foundation's been in existence for 16 years. We've been working hard in the state of Utah, and we're expanding our footprint, and we couldn't find a better partner and our next door neighbor in Idaho to make a huge difference. And we're growing fast and furious.
Well, this is kind of fun because we actually last week we had Paris Cole, CEO of truckstop.com and also chairman of the Idaho Technology Council, talk about how important it is to be able to train the next generation and to be able to have them introduced to computer science and have strong computing skills. And it was actually Scott Moscript and the Gayann Foundation who's helped fund this, as well as St. Luke's with the Idaho STEM Action Center, and obviously the Success in Education, Rick. So maybe we can talk about how do students, for those that are listening or on this, how do they enroll in Idaho Codes?
Really simple. They go to idahocodes.com or idahocodes.org. All the information is right in front of them, and they can register right away. It's been very impressive. For business leadership that's listening, please get your HR department involved. Make sure all of your employees know about it so that their children that are between 7th and 12th grade can sign up and participate. To me, that again, private enterprise, public education coming together hand in hand to make this thing happen. And so school districts are gathering the information. They're starting to communicate with their student base as well. And so I think the business community has got to jump on the school districts, but the school districts are going to catch up in a hurry. And right now it's free, but eventually students might end up having to pay something. So for those that are listening, take advantage of the opportunity.
That's fantastic. You're right. I think it's a big thing to say because of all of the work of these foundations and contributions. It's a $200 course that is now being offered free to the state of Idaho. And largely this had to be with COVID-19. Gayann, how big is COVID-19 on helping us accelerate Idaho Codes?
Jay, I like to call it a silver lining. We are looking for silver linings in a difficult time. It has not been easy, this COVID-19 on education at all. It's I just cannot sing the praises enough of our teachers. They're rock stars, and they're doing everything that they can for our kids. And it's been a challenge for the kids. As a mom, it's a challenge for families, making sure your kids are buckling down and getting those learning experiences done and engaging, particularly with the high schoolers. And I have to say, the silver lining here in terms of Idaho Codes launching yesterday is the timeliness of it, because we know that there are kids like mine, I hesitate to say, to throw my 2 boys under the bus, but way too much Fortnite happening at our house. and in spite of some excellent teachers' efforts, there's still a little bit of time. And so, when we started talking about this, the idea that that we could launch this in such a timely manner that would capture some of, let's call it the Fortnite time, the Fortnite time for kids, or whatever that is. It really is a learning opportunity that can be accessed right now, and the kids can move through this curriculum at their own pace with mentors, with that support, and I just have to say, I truly believe it's one of those silver linings
I love
and a
that.
lot of challenge.
I love that silver lining of COVID-19. So thanks, Gayann. Rick, one last question for you.
Sure.
So now you have, this is far exceeding the anticipations that I think that we had. We thought that it would be, here we've had 24 hours and we have over 1,000. How does this stack up with other programs you rolled out? Obviously COVID-19 is helping us here, or because we're meeting some demand, but how's this met with other rollouts that you've seen?
Well, I think the state of Idaho can be very proud that they're leading we've never had this kind of enrollment so quickly. I think the biggest one-day registration that we had in Utah was 600 students, and so. Again, it's different times, different environments, but what I believe to be the fact and the opportunity is that you have, again, business leadership, you have school district leadership, you have STEM, you have the Idaho Technology Council, you have legislators, and you have the governor, that you've all come together with one clear message and saying that, coding and programming is a pathway for all of our children, and they need to know it. They need to have some experience with it, and that message has been clearly distributed within the state of Idaho. And now the opportunities, students are responding. And again, the work starts now. It's easy to sign up. The effort is putting the sweat equity in to learn it. And I believe the students are going to respond. Gayann mentioned it. We have online support, online mentors to help. It's self-paced, and students can get through that, and they can come away doing some great things. We've had students that have finished the course and have gone out and started earning money by updating, repairing, and dynamically improving mom and pop websites. And students have absolutely loved it. And those mom and pop websites that are a little bit hesitant around technology are so grateful to have a high school student or a junior high school student roll into their business and fix their website.
That's great. And we also want you to know, Rick, how much we appreciate our sister state here with Utah. And we know that 2 members of your staff, Scott Schwab is one of them, who's helping lead the efforts on success in education, and both of them are from Idaho. So Scott and Sebastian, right? So
yep.
We appreciate that. So, well, thank you so much, Rick, Gayann, for your time and your energy to be able to help change the landscape in Idaho related to computing literacy in our state. So thank you.
Thank you.
And what we're going to
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Gayann. Thanks, Rick. And if you like, you can go see the yesterday with Governor Little. We had a press conference that is on the Idaho Technology Council YouTube channel. You can go watch that, and you can see some extraordinary information that was shared then. Please go to idahocodes.org and sign a 7th grader all the way through high school up for Idaho Codes. We've very much enjoyed having Dr. Mark Peters from the Idaho National Laboratory on, as well as CEO of Code.org, Hadi Partovi, and also Rick Folkerson with Success in Education, and Gayann DeMordaunt, a representative from the great state of Idaho. We hope you'll join us next week when we hear from U.S. Congressman Russ Fulcher, who is working with private sector partners to provide services to help combat COVID-19 during these times of unprecedented challenges, and also Andy Scoggin with Alberts Companies and the Idaho State Board of Education. Remember, strength comes in those unique and challenging times as we seek solutions. Our thought this week is our differences can make a positive difference. This is Jay Larson with the Idaho Technology Council, keeping you connected with industry and government, because in Idaho, innovation matters. Thank you.